Have you ever felt a lingering sense of unease about someone in your life? A nagging intuition that something isn't quite right? In our complex world, not everyone we encounter operates with sincerity or kindness. Some may mask darker intentions, quietly causing harm to those around them. Recognizing these individuals can be challenging, but it is essential to our well-being. How do we identify the signs? How can we shield ourselves from potential harm without losing our own sense of virtue? In this exploration through the lens of Stoicism, we will uncover 5 warning signs that you're dealing with a malicious person. These signs aren't simply about diagnosing others. They are tools for deepening self-awareness and practicing discernment, virtues central to a Stoic life. Whether the individual is cloaked in charm or fueled by a desire to control, the wisdom of Stoic philosophy equips us to see through illusions and maintain our peace. As we journey through these signs, consider each carefully. Have you encountered these traits in people around you, or even, at times, in yourself? Let's delve in and cultivate the wisdom to discern friend from foe, with each lesson guiding us to the next until we reach the ultimate insight on how to protect our inner peace. The final sign will reveal the deeper truth about human nature and the role of virtue in our lives. Stay with us until the end to uncover it. 1. The mask of charm. Charm or deception. Beware the illusion of sincerity. Charm can be a powerful, even mesmerizing trait. Many of us are drawn to people who exude confidence, kindness, and warmth. But how often do we stop to question what lies beneath? Some individuals wield charm not as a reflection of genuine care, but as a tool for manipulation. Stoicism teaches us to be cautious of appearances and to always seek the truth beneath the surface. Why are we drawn to charm so easily? Our nature often inclines us to favor those who make us feel valued and seen. Yet Stoic philosophy reminds us that allure, if unchecked, can cloud our judgment. When faced with someone who seems excessively charming, ask yourself, is their kindness a natural expression, or does it feel calculated? Stoicism encourages us to reflect on the intentions of others, especially when the charm is coupled with self-serving behavior. Consider a scenario. You meet someone who is unfailingly attentive, showering you with compliments and helpful gestures. It feels good to be treated well, doesn't it? But what happens when this charm begins to reveal strings attached? Perhaps they start asking for favors in return, or they subtly guilt you for not responding in kind. Over time, their charm begins to feel more like a transaction. Stoicism urges us to be aware of these subtle shifts in behavior and to remain grounded, assessing actions over words. An example of this can be seen in Mark, a character well known in his workplace for his polite demeanor and a sunny smile. Initially, his charm wins over colleagues, making them eager to accept his help. But eventually, they begin to notice something unsettling. His help often comes with unspoken expectations. Mark helps a colleague complete a complex project, only to later expect loyalty and favors in return. In truth, his charm masks a desire to create a network of people indebted to him, a calculated approach to gaining influence and control. So how can we distinguish sincere charm from deceitful allure? Stoicism advises that we focus on consistency in actions. Genuine kindness does not demand repayment. It exists for its own sake. If someone's charm feels conditional or self-serving, this could be a warning sign of manipulation. Are they consistently kind, even when it yields no benefit to them? Or does their warmth fade when they gain nothing in return? Reflect for a moment on your own experiences. Have you encountered someone who seemed too good to be true? Did you feel an underlying sense of unease, a hint that something didn't quite align? These instincts are valuable and can guide us toward the truth. Stoic discernment encourages us to trust our intuition, questioning charm that feels too polished or practiced. Charm, after all, should be genuine, not a means to control. As Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us, true happiness arises in the first place from the enjoyment of oneself. If a person's charm pulls you away from your sense of self or inner peace, take note. Stoicism advises us to stay rooted in our own values, never allowing others to sway us from our principles. When charm reveals itself as manipulation, it is wisdom, not anger, that will shield us. Now that we have explored the deceptive power of charm, let us move on to another subtle but powerful weapon used by those with harmful intentions: the art of manipulation. How can Stoicism help us defend against this even more insidious behavior? 2. Mastery of manipulation. The art of influence. Recognizing subtle manipulation. In the vast web of human relationships, some individuals become adept at the art of manipulation. Unlike overt actions, manipulation is often subtle, cloaked in gestures of kindness or empathy that, on the surface, seem genuine. Yet, if you look closely, you may notice that beneath these gestures lies a hidden agenda. Stoicism reminds us to exercise vigilance in our relationships, guiding us to recognize manipulation before it takes root. Why is manipulation so challenging to detect? Manipulators are often skilled at reading others, understanding their needs, and using those needs to their advantage. Through flattery or feigned concern, they may sway you, making you feel valued, only to later use this connection for their gain. Ask yourself, is this person encouraging my autonomy, or are they subtly directing my actions to serve their desires? Consider the case of someone in your life who often offers advice or guidance, but only when it leads to decisions that benefit them. Manipulators may not demand obedience outright. Instead, they present their opinions as if they are always in your best interest. At first, you may feel grateful, even relieved to have someone so invested in your choices. But over time, the pattern emerges. Their suggestions often lead you to situations that serve their goals, even if it limits your freedom or well-being. In Stoicism, discernment is a vital skill. Recognizing manipulation is not merely about avoiding harm, but about preserving your sense of autonomy and virtue. When someone tries to control your choices subtly, it infringes upon your inner freedom, the one thing Stoicism holds as essential. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, the true source of power lies within, not in controlling others or allowing oneself to be controlled. Imagine, for instance, a colleague who frequently offers to help with your projects, often claiming that they want to lighten your load. Grateful, you accept their assistance, trusting their intentions. But as time passes, you begin to notice that they use these contributions to position themselves in a favorable light with the higher-ups, sometimes taking credit for your work or implying that their role was more significant than it truly was. Instead of mutual support, you realize they were helping you only as a strategy to gain influence. How can Stoicism equip us to counter manipulation? First, by cultivating a deep awareness of our intentions and values. When we are grounded in what we truly value, we are less likely to be swayed by external pressure or influence. Manipulators thrive on insecurity and uncertainty, preying on doubts to create dependence. But by embodying Stoic principles, patience, self-reflection, and inner strength, we protect ourselves from this subtle domination. In your life, have you ever felt pressured by someone's helpful suggestions? Did you find yourself veering away from your original goals or values to align with theirs? Reflect on these experiences. Stoicism teaches that the goal is not to confront manipulators with hostility, but rather to practice calm detachment. By recognizing manipulation, we can respond without resentment, choosing to act based on our reasoned judgment instead of being drawn into their schemes. Once we are able to see through manipulation, we can move forward with clarity and control. As we gain insight into others' actions, we learn to trust our own judgment. This trust is the foundation of freedom, and with it, we become resilient against subtle coercion. Now, having seen the subtlety of manipulation, we must turn to a more direct and pervasive force, the urge to control. How can Stoic philosophy help us recognize and resist those who wish to dominate every aspect of our lives? 3. The urge to control. When care becomes control, the illusion of guidance. In our relationships, care and guidance are often expressions of genuine love. However, when these intentions cross into control, they can become suffocating. Individuals driven by a desire to control often disguise their motives under the veil of care, insisting that they know what's best or are simply looking out for your well-being. Yet, true care respects autonomy, recognizing that each person has the right to direct their own path. Stoicism, with its emphasis on self-mastery, teaches us to recognize when another's guidance is, in reality, an attempt to dominate. Control often stems from insecurity. Those who fear losing connection may cling to it by trying to dictate others' choices, routines, and even relationships. Stoicism reminds us that the only thing we can truly control is our own mind and actions. Attempts to control others not only disrupt harmony, but lead to inner conflict and dissatisfaction. Are there people in your life who consistently seek to influence your decisions under the pretext of helping or protecting you? Consider the story of Jack and Julia, who began their relationship on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. But as time passed, Jack's fear of losing Julia began to manifest as control. He started opposing certain friends of hers, claiming they were a bad influence. He even questioned her choices, insisting that he only wanted to protect her. What Jack failed to see was that his control was eroding the very trust he hoped to preserve. Stoicism teaches us that when we respect others' autonomy, we strengthen the bonds of trust. By contrast, control only breeds resentment and distance. How often do we, in our lives, encounter those who wish to steer our decisions, framing their interference as good intentions? Stoic philosophy emphasizes that while guidance is welcome, we must be cautious when guidance becomes coercion. When someone believes they have the right to shape our choices, they are disregarding the Stoic tenet that each person is their own master, responsible for their own path and capable of facing the consequences of their decisions. In such situations, Stoicism advises practicing both compassion and boundaries. Recognizing a controller's intentions often requires patience and a calm, objective perspective. Instead of reacting with anger, we can set boundaries that protect our autonomy. Imagine explaining to someone close to you, calmly yet firmly, that while you appreciate their input, your choices are ultimately your own. Boundaries are not barriers. They are lines that help define and protect mutual respect and freedom. Have you ever found yourself restricted by someone's attempts to help you? Perhaps their involvement became so overbearing that it left you feeling constrained rather than supported. Stoicism guides us in responding to such behavior, not by building resentment, but by embracing our freedom to choose, independently of others' influence. In doing so, we foster an environment of trust rather than one of dominance. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Our internal peace depends on maintaining a clear sense of self, uncolored by the desires of others to control or direct our lives. By identifying and addressing control, we allow ourselves to live authentically, respecting both our own journey and the journeys of those around us. Now that we have explored the motives behind control, let's turn to another profound and harmful behavior: the web of lies. How does deception, whether small or grand, impact our lives, and how can Stoicism guide us in discerning truth from falsehood? 4. The web of lies. Truth versus deception, unraveling the hidden web of lies. Lies, however small or grand, have a way of eroding trust and destabilizing relationships. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely observed, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." Lies distort these judgments, creating an illusion that hinders our ability to see reality clearly. When someone frequently uses deception to control perceptions and outcomes, they are ensnaring others in a web of lies, a powerful tool for those seeking to manipulate or conceal their intentions. Pathological lying, a behavior in which an individual lies almost reflexively, often stems from a desire to gain control or avoid responsibility. Such individuals are not content to let events unfold naturally. Instead, they weave their own narratives, adjusting the truth as it suits them. In Stoicism, truth is a fundamental virtue, for only with truth can we align our minds and actions with reality. How can we cultivate a mindset that discerns truth from lies, seeing things as they truly are, rather than as they are presented to us? Consider the case of Anna, an accountant who began noticing discrepancies in the work reports of her colleague Tom. Tom presented himself as a highly accomplished employee, often speaking of his achievements in meetings with confident detail. However, over time, Anna noticed that Tom's descriptions did not always align with the actual results. When confronted with inconsistencies, Tom would change his story, creating elaborate explanations to maintain his image. Stoicism teaches us to seek evidence over words, aligning ourselves with what is verifiable and real. So how do we respond when we encounter lies? Stoic philosophy encourages a response of calm objectivity. Lies can evoke feelings of betrayal, frustration, and even anger. But Stoicism advises us to remain steady, recognizing that others' dishonesty reflects their character, not ours. Rather than allowing deceit to shake our peace, we are called to strengthen our discernment, focusing on objective truths and cultivating a mind that sees clearly despite deception. In practical terms, Stoicism encourages us to adopt a habit of mindful questioning. When someone's story changes or seems exaggerated, do not react impulsively. Instead, observe and assess. Are there patterns of inconsistency? Do their actions align with their words? Stoicism teaches us to value consistency, to let deeds speak for themselves, rather than becoming entangled in the persuasive words of others. Reflecting on our own experiences, have we encountered someone whose dishonesty left a lasting impact? Did it cause us to question our own perceptions or doubt our sense of reality? These moments, though challenging, are opportunities to practice the Stoic virtue of clarity. Lies can be unsettling, but when we approach them with a calm and centered mind, they lose their power over us. This approach not only preserves our peace, but also protects our integrity. For we remain true to what we know and observe, rather than being swept up in another's distortions. Stoicism teaches that in the face of dishonesty, it is not our duty to change others, but to align ourselves with virtue. Lies, no matter how skillfully crafted, will eventually unravel. When confronted with deception, we need not retaliate. Instead, we focus on cultivating honesty within ourselves. Just as Anna approached her concerns with composure and evidence, we too can handle lies with grace, letting the truth naturally reveal itself. With lies exposed, we turn to a final, even more corrosive behavior: the absence of empathy. How does a lack of compassion impact relationships, and how does Stoicism guide us in responding with resilience and understanding? 5. Absence of empathy. A heart without compassion, recognizing the void of empathy. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a cornerstone of genuine human connection. Those who lack empathy, however, treat others not as people but as tools for their own advancement, disregarding emotions, needs, or well-being. The Stoics valued empathy as part of our shared humanity. Without it, relationships are reduced to transactions devoid of meaning and trust. When we encounter someone who demonstrates little compassion, it can be unsettling. In a Stoic view, empathy is essential to harmony. It is the force that allows us to coexist peacefully, respecting others' struggles and joys as reflections of our own human experience. When empathy is missing, people's actions often reveal a deep disregard for others' dignity and needs. Ask yourself, have you ever been treated as though your feelings didn't matter, as though your struggles were dismissed or belittled? Consider an example: a CEO who shows little regard for an employee's personal life, demanding overtime despite the employee's need to care for a family member. This cold disregard for the well-being of others reflects a lack of empathy that not only harms morale, but corrodes trust and loyalty within the organization. Stoicism teaches that each of us has a duty to respond to the needs of others within our capacity, recognizing that we are all connected in our shared pursuit of a meaningful life. In Stoic thought, a lack of empathy is seen as a profound flaw because it denies our common humanity. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that each person is part of a greater whole, and to dismiss the needs or sufferings of others is to ignore this truth. When faced with someone who consistently lacks empathy, Stoicism encourages us to maintain our integrity. Rather than retaliate or harbor resentment, we can focus on acting with kindness and understanding, regardless of the coldness we encounter. Have you ever felt depleted after dealing with someone who consistently shows little empathy? This is a natural response. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot change another's nature, but we can choose how we react. Responding with patience and compassion, even when it is not reciprocated, strengthens our own character and aligns us with the Stoic virtues of resilience and kindness. While we cannot force empathy onto others, Stoicism guides us to maintain our own compassion, not for the approval of others, but for the peace it brings within. Seneca once said, "It is not what you endure that matters, but how you endure it." In this, we see that our response to a lack of empathy should not compromise our inner peace or values. By practicing compassion, we transcend negativity and protect our well-being. So how should we respond to those who lack empathy? Stoicism teaches us to uphold our boundaries, being mindful not to let their coldness drain our energy. Detachment, one of Stoicism's central practices, allows us to engage with empathy without becoming vulnerable to the insensitivity of others. Reflecting on this practice, ask yourself, are there situations where I can exercise empathy without expecting it in return? How can I cultivate kindness without letting it be exploited? As we close this exploration of harmful behaviors, let us remember that these signs are not only tools to identify others' intentions, but also a means of self-reflection. Stoicism encourages us to embody the virtues we wish to see in others, transforming ourselves rather than waiting for others to change. By recognizing and responding calmly to harmful behaviors, we preserve our own peace, fostering a life grounded in clarity, compassion, and strength. In a world filled with diverse personalities and intentions, Stoicism offers a timeless guide to discernment. Recognizing the signs of malicious behavior, masked charm, manipulation, control, lies, and a lack of empathy allows us to navigate relationships with wisdom and resilience. By embodying Stoic virtues, we can protect our peace and cultivate connections that nourish rather than drain us. As we close, consider the impact of these insights on your own life. Have you seen these signs in others or even at times within yourself? What changes could you make to live with greater clarity and compassion? If you found value in this exploration, we invite you to engage with us. Share your reflections in the comments. How have Stoic principles helped you in dealing with challenging relationships? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to support a community dedicated to growth, resilience, and wisdom. Thank you for watching, and may you continue to find strength and peace within.